All right. Welcome to Thriving in Abundance Talk. Of course, it is a Tuesday afternoon, and we are hosting a Thrive Woman Thrive. And my guest this afternoon is other than Miss Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, of course, Sonto Mayise. Sonto, welcome, my sister. Mhlonishwa.
Thank you, Ma'am Shanisha, and thank you for having me.
I know abantu abanye mhlawumbe they are curious to know why bebizana ngomhlonishwa. That's a story for another day. Thank you so much for making time to join us this afternoon, Sonto. And of course, it is Tourism Month in South Africa, an industry that has been affected by the lockdown period. But here we are. We're still standing. Praise the name of Jesus. Sonto, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from.
Oh my word, what a difficult question to start with. Yeah, boy, well, Mina, in actual fact, I'm from the small town called Lowsbeck. So most people call it Ngoche because it's a hidden gem. Beautiful area. In Nethala Game Reserve. I'm sure Abaningi, they know that place. So that's where I come from, in the family of 6. But now we are actually 3. And we were raised by a mother. Because Mina, when I was growing up, I didn't know my father because he passed on when I was only 3 months. But I was raised by a very strong, prayerful woman, Ugamatendra, which I'm forever grateful ukuthi was kulisa ngalendlela sikhulisa ngayo. So here I am from Elosbeck and Ngoche, and now I'm here in Durban.
Wow, that's amazing. Power to the ladies, power to the ladies, power to the ladies. Manje, you know, this is interesting. I was looking at your profile here and I'm like, wow, she has a master's in tourism, and she also holds an MBA from Spain. I was speaking in Spanish. I mean, like, how do you say hello in Espanol?
Hola. Hola.
Oh, that's easy. How are you?
¿Qué tal?
How are your children?
But you're being unfair because now you're going to ask me things that you're not going to even understand yourself.
But I just want to test, and when you studied in Spain, surely you must have a little bit of understanding and the speaking of the language, and it flows nicely, and it's sort of exciting. You know, tell us a little bit about that.
Spain that speaks Spanish. So
sorry?
if I go to Spain, I will show you a little bit of Spanish.
Of course, and then we have been in Barcelona together in one of our the industry.
You remember, I was assisting you when you wanted to ask some questions.
All right, so Sonto, you already had a master's in tourism, but still you went ahead and did another master's in sports management. Why did you see a need to do another master's program?
You know, maybe it is important also to appreciate people that you find in different spaces, because I didn't do it myself. That is why I always appreciate people, because people that know me were able to actually assist me to be who I am today. So when I was with the Office of the Premier, busy with the World Cup in 2010, there was this opportunity through the government of Spain where there were bursaries and scholarships that were given to people from all over the world to be part of the laureate program. So I was one lucky person to be part of that scholarship from South Africa, and took a decision to actually go there. But it is important as well, Zodwa, to actually acknowledge that if the leadership of government then was not supportive, I wouldn't have made it, because going back to school when you are working and you have responsibilities, is quite difficult. But they were there supporting, and I was able to go and do my MBA in Spain. Why I did this MBA in sport management, it was only because of my love for tourism and the passion for tourism. So I wanted to mix tourism with sport. As you know, sport tourism is actually growing, and I wanted to actually get that experience in the sport tourism field, where we actually can infuse both tourism and sport in terms of growing the economy of the KZN and the country at large.
Okay. All right. So that's a very interesting, it's a very
Yeah.
interesting thing. So it feels to me like you like pushing boundaries, because last year you conquered Mount Kilimanjaro. I was like, hey, you know, Mina, do 10 kilometers that we normally do once in a while, you know, in these races that usually take place in the city. And I'm like, and then there Sonto decides to do Mount Kilimanjaro. What does it take to just even prepare for this?
You know, when I was speaking to people before I even went to Kilimanjaro, they didn't believe me because no one had ever seen me going to the mountain, let alone hiking, because, you know, I'm kind of a private person, even though, you know, whatever. But I like actually pushing boundaries, as you say. For me, I always tell myself that there's nothing actually too difficult that you cannot conquer. And as I said, my mother used to say to me, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So every time I tell myself, ukuthi ngingakwenza konke ngaye ongiqinisayo. So all the time when I actually think about something and feel like doing it, then I actually go for it because I know that there's something that is going to come out of it. Going to Kilimanjaro, it was not just something that I actually slept and decided that I'm going to do tomorrow. But actually, I prayed about it, and it was about me finding myself going out there in the wilderness and to say, I can actually conquer this mountain and I can actually come out stronger after doing this. So for me, it was also to say women can actually do it, because there are women leaders out there that people actually take for granted just because they see them on stilettos and all that, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, no, this one cannot do this one cannot do that. But at the end of the day, each and every person has this uniqueness within within herself, especially women. I'm going to focus more on women because I'm a woman, but it doesn't mean men actually are not part of that. But there is something that we need to actually always show, that we are able to push boundaries, and nothing is impossible until it's done.
It does. It sounds like it was also some kind of a spiritual pilgrimage for you. Was it? Did it feel like that? I remember when we had a conversation afterwards, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Flonish." Like, really? And I'm sure at some point you felt like in the middle of the whole thing, I know this is it. Yeah, and then you still kept going. What did it take?
Well, it is difficult, as you might actually imagine, but there's something that pushes you. As I say, when you have something that is actually saying to you, this is the goal and you need to actually reach this goal, you actually push. There were times, obviously, where I was actually saying, okay, why am I here? And I will be like, I've got 2 sons, and I'll be like, okay, my kids actually back at home, and I mean, who else is going to look after them if anything happens? You know, people die in that mountain, you know the stories. But there was something within me that said, uNkulunkulu angeke akubeke endleleni aphinde akushiye. You know, So I said, you can't take me this far, God, to leave me. So nangempela akazange, and I submitted Kilimanjaro, and I was just okay. I think people didn't even believe when I was like in 7 days, I was up and down Mount Kilimanjaro, and I came back, I was like up and running. So yeah, it was such, for me, maybe it is important to say this. Honestly, it was like a spiritual journey for me. I wouldn't lie and say I was doing it for whatever. No, it was about me. It was about finding myself, and it was about just to say, I can do this. And it's something that came over me just out of the blue. I think it was in September. It's my birthday, and I was like, okay, what can I do for myself? It came like that. I decided in September that I was going to go to Kilimanjaro, and I did it in February. So you can actually see, I didn't even have time to practice. And when I tell people this, they don't believe me. I didn't. I was ready in my mind that I was going to do it. So that's how I actually submitted. So it was about me and my God.
It's amazing what the mind can do. You know, whatever that the mind can conceive, it can certainly do it. And then the power within all of us. You know,
Definitely.
when you know that there is a higher power out there that is always with you, it just makes it very easy for you to also draw great power that is within you. That's amazing, sis. And I mean, once more, congratulations on that. I mean, like, I remember when you came back. Well, and you know, as you were telling me that you were going to be doing it, I was like, oh, Sonto, all right. And then, of course, you came back, and it was such an amazing achievement. And I have to congratulate you for that. But I also see now on the business side that you've had quite a few awards. I think recently the Nelson Mandela Foundation acknowledged you as one of the women leaders in the industry. And also, I think last year you also had a discretionary award from the KwaZulu-Natal Premier's office. And I see that also you were finalists in the Standard Bank Top Women Awards. How does it feel to get all those accolades?
Well, it feels good, and I'm not going to lie about it. It feels good, but also there's this affirmation that there's something that you are doing, and people can see that you're doing something for your province, for your country, and for Africa at large. As you know, in the industry that we're working on, we're not only doing it for the province or the city, but we actually do it for South Africa and Africa as a whole. So for me, it's actually also a confirmation that there are people out there who can make you a better person, because you can't just do it alone. I have testimonies of people who actually hold me by the hand when I came to government when I was still young, and they were able, and they are women, by the way, and they were able to groom me and to be able to hold me by the hand. One person that I'm going to mention, actually, when I was actually coming for the first time in the office of the Premier, in the space of the government, who didn't even know me, it was Usiso Stella Kumalo, who actually was my mentor, with other HODs as well, female HODs. So I always appreciate people like that, because they were able to hold me by the hand and also said, the sky, Sissy, is the limit. You can do anything and everything that you want to do. So these achievements, for me, they're also an affirmation that there are people out there who actually can see the potential that you might not see in yourself, but you can be able to actually tap into their skill, tap into their experience, and you can actually be a better person.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I love these beautiful stories of ladies supporting each other and one another. To dispel this myth that ladies do not support each other and they can't work together, because I think it's just a fuss, you know, quite honestly. We always have an interest to see ourselves succeeding, because imbogodo, impela. when we are, working as a collective, we can achieve a lot of things. We can achieve a lot of things.
Definitely. Mina, I have like stories of a string of women, both from private sector and in government, who actually believed in me when sometimes I didn't believe in myself. And I always say to them, I will not mention some of them by names, but they know that I appreciate. And from the bottom of my heart, I know that women can actually support each other. Yes, there will be challenges, we agree, but when women come together, things actually happen.
Amazing. In the main, when we come together, things do happen. Now, coming back to your position now, the Convention Bureau, a lot of people don't even know what that is. So can you just briefly take us through what does the Convention Bureau do?
Oh, wow. Okay. The Convention Bureau is actually an entity within Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, which is responsible for bidding and also lobbying and qualifying bids. And when I say bids, people will like think, okay, any bid you can actually do. But when people see these meetings, conferences and exhibitions, international ones happening in Durban and any other part of the province, we actually work behind the scenes in making sure that we bid for these events. We actually lobby for these events to come to the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And that is the long and short of explaining what the Convention Bureau does, because we play this role of making sure that these big meetings do come to KwaZulu-Natal.
If you say meetings, are you specifically referring to conferences and exhibitions?
Yes, I'm referring to meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. But mainly we focus on international meetings because of their economic benefits that they bring into the destination. So even though we look into other national meetings, obviously, but because of the economic value that international meetings, we always fight with other big cities, fight with other countries to bring these meetings and conferences to Durban and KwaZulu-Natal. And I should qualify this, it's not only Durban and Hlonishwa, it's KwaZulu-Natal as well, because we also have places like King Cetshwayo where they have access to air transport in terms of flights coming from Joburg to Richards Bay. So all those destinations like your Uku, like your Pietermaritzburg, Ilembe. So we look into all other destinations so that we can be able to empower the communities in those areas and also make sure that there are economic benefits in those areas.
You know, a lot of people that are in the tourism space are more focused on the leisure side. What attracted you specifically to this other side? The industry is called the Mayise industry, which is meetings, incentive, conferences, events, and exhibitions. And what attracted you to this other side?
You see, I spoke about myself going to Spain and studied MBA in sports management, but it didn't start there. I also hosted the, okay, now my mind block. We hosted the World Cup and then we hosted COP17 province. So when I was working with the province, with the country in hosting COP17 and the UN, I realized the potential of hosting these meetings. And some people didn't even know that when this COP17 comes, there is a lot of work that is being done behind the scenes. So for me, the love of doing business tourism was in the terms of saying, other countries are actually doing it. Why can't we actually do it as well? And especially in the province where I belong, why can't we actually do the same thing? And I remember in 2014, I even went to Vienna because they were leading in hosting these business events. So I went there and I learned and I educated myself in terms of how to bid, how to attract these meetings to come to the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So for me, it has been something that I am passionate about. It's not something that actually I went to school to study, because I did tourism in school, but business events, you know, it's a new thing. And that is why most people are actually not vested much into it. So we actually starting now to see more and more people coming into the space, but previously not more people were actually aware of the space that the business event sector is playing in the economy of the country.
Your passion is visible, because I mean, most times when you post on your personal Facebook page, it's usually more about umsebenzi, which actually makes it very clear that you're quite passionate about what you do, but also you're passionate about the province and the industry at large. You mentioned something about the potential of this industry. What are the economic spin-offs from this type of meetings? You did say that, you know, it's mostly international meetings.
You know, Zodwa, maybe it is important to actually just make a mention of one meeting that you can host. We hosted World Economic Forum in 2017. So when we hosted the World Economic Forum, you would see the economic benefits, because when you calculate the economic benefits in the province, we actually we got about 800 plus million rands in terms of return on investment. So shows in one meeting that how much you can actually benefit as the province. But when we say we actually benefiting as the province, it doesn't mean only the province or the city benefits, the country as well benefits, because people, when they come for these meetings, after they've actually attended this meeting, they travel to the other parts of the country and the benefits are then spread. But in short, there are well-written economic benefits in terms of these meetings. You host one meeting and there are visible economic benefits. So it is important that we push as a province and the city in making sure that we host more of these meetings so that we can even recover from the situation that we're in right now.
Amazing, amazing. That's actually quite nice. So I do know that partnerships are important, I think, in this industry. How does it work? How does it work?
Well, you can't do it alone. Remember, as a city or a province, you don't own these events. They have people who are associations and event owners who own these meetings. So you have to make sure that you relate well with these people so that they can actually buy your story. So make sure that you partner with them. And it's important also to work with the locals as well. When I say locals, the municipalities, different government departments, those kind of partnerships, the PCOs, the exhibition providers. So you need to make sure that you have all those partners on board so that they are able to support you. Because when you host the meeting, you will see, we will post the only part where it is nice and glamorous, but the behind the scenes, you really need to sweat and make sure that you create these relationships, you maintain them, and also make sure that these partnerships work for you. In some instances, remember, you host a meeting and at the long run, those meetings become the potential investments to the city or the province. So it is critical that you actually partner with these associations, the event owners, and even various government departments.
Tell me about the sweating. Some of us have been sweating for many, many, many years. But of course, indeed, it is just one of those where you're driven by passion. You know, if you're still passionate about it, you are happy to keep on sweating and sweating and sweating until you get it right. So tell me something, for a young person who is probably a student in tourism,
Yeah.
at a tertiary level, and they want to explore this side of the industry, what would be your advice?
You see, for me, every time I always say there is no barrier that you shouldn't actually just make sure that you are able to cross. When you university, there are other programs that are available within government spaces. We've got internships and we've got some other opportunities where we take students and work within the conferences that we host and get experiences in terms of how to actually host these conferences. Some other people become lucky in terms of being taken by the various organizations. It can be PCOs, it can be associations, and they end up working for them. But also, you see, when I came through to the Convention Bureau, there was this missing element for me, mainly for women, in terms of empowerment, where there was no space for women, and especially women of color. I'm going to mention this because it was one of the critical things that we needed to look into. So what we did as the Convention Bureau, we started a program. It's a 3-year program where we actually call upon young women who are passionate and who are willing to join into the space so that we can train them and also put them into the market. So we work with one organization, an international organization, which is called International Association for Professional Conference Organizers, where they train these women according to what is happening in the industry. And they even certify them in terms of making sure that they give them certificates so that they can become players in the field as well of business tourism. So those are the other things that we are doing. So if maybe there are students out there, they normally reach out to us and we give them advice as well, because we say, if we are still within the sector, we need to make sure that we groom more people so that we can see other people as well taking over and being part of this thriving industry.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned this about the empowerment, especially for women, because the transformation is one of the areas that is that seems to be a challenge, just in the tourism space in terms of the ownership, who still owns what, and I would imagine it's the same for business tourism. So, what's your take on the transformation? And I think it's important that we have this conversation because we would like to see something different on the other side of a lockdown in our country. Hopefully people have had enough time to do self-introspection. Oh, Gombela Wesabo.
Yeah, it's a difficult topic and also a very sensitive topic. And I'm sure you've seen the fights that I've actually fought in the space.
It's good. When it causes tension, then it means it's working.
It causes tension, and sometimes you become unpopular to some people. But at the end of the day, we need to say, we are in the space, and how are we going to be able to empower other people who are coming after us so that they are able to find the level being, the ground being leveled. Now, it is very, very, very sensitive topic, but what we're doing right now, I'm happy that we are actually making inroads in terms of making sure that we have young women, even men in the space that we are grooming, and they will be able to play a very important role in the sector. But remember, Zodwa, some people, when you talk about meetings, they think of ICC meeting when it happens. They forget about the value chain, that you can be a DMC, you can be a PCO, you can do legal of tourism, where you actually draft contracts for people who are hosting these. There's a lot of that. But because we don't actually have much knowledge about this space and the value chain, I was saying to someone, you know, there are people who just work at home and make contacts with international associations, and they make linkages. They come to me and say, I'm the provider for this meeting. So if you host this meeting, I'm working with this such and such association. And that then gets the 20% out of the total budget of the conference through that association. And then he goes to another country and do the same. It's such a lucrative business. But what we do, because we don't have much information, we focus only when the conference is happening. And then we're going to say, okay, what about catering? What about providing transport? But the actual money is when you actually do these linkages and you actually make like a business proposal to a association to say, I'm working with this association. So if you work with me, I'm going to bring this meeting to you. It is a business and it's not something that is hidden, but people don't know about it. But if we don't educate them, we need to actually make sure that we tell our youth and our young women that there's money out there and they can start their own businesses without waiting for us to bid for these conferences, and they will fight for the end results and they don't even make money out of it.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. Young ladies, there's an opportunity right there. So, you mentioned some terms there. Maybe you can just explain what they mean. What's a PCO?
Professional Conference Organizer.
Ah, and a DMC?
Destination Management Company.
What do they do? I mean, I can see a PCO when you say a professional conference organizer, it means they organize conferences. So yes. Destination management, what's that?
You see, it varies. You can actually, in your business, differentiate on what you want to do. You can specifically deal with making sure that when people land in a destination, you take them until they leave the destination. So it's about making sure that people have this structured program that you develop for them, and also make sure that you showcase the destination as well within the company, because you provide transport services, you take them around, you provide tour guiding for them. So it's like the entire experience that you give to the delegates when they come. So others will focus just only on making sure that when people land at the airport as delegates, then they will take them with their transport and they will take them to their hotels and they will transport them during the conference, and they focus only on that. But you can actually structure it according to your business needs and how you are able to actually provide the service. As I say, there's so many opportunities, but mainly because of knowledge and education, most people will only focus on the limited side of business and forget about the bigger picture of business. When I leave government, I will focus on other things as well, and I will show you what's done.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it for the first time on Thriving in Abundance Talk.
No, it is meant to be a joke. I'm just saying.
Okay, ha ha ha. Let me go to our Facebook page and see if we've got any comments or questions. Lapayana Nofundo Tsaba is saying hello, ladies, and the audience. Khabo Paga is saying she's feeling encouraged. Yeah, of course. I think it was when you were talking about the conquering Mount Kilimanjaro. And she says also, thank you for paving the road for us. That's very good. And Bernadette there is saying thank you. So informative. All right, let me see if we have any other questions there. All right, okay, no. Now we're on lockdown. You know, the industry is imminent. And some of us are affected, like really. But because God is good, here we are. We're just moving on. But the struggle is real out there. What are the plans of reviving the industry post-lockdown?
You see, Zodwa, honestly, it's been difficult for most people, and we can't take that for granted. And we pain, we just hope beyond this, we are going to come out stronger. We were talking with my team recently to say we need to be able to work harder now, because people out there are relying on us to make sure that we actually bring these meetings so that they can have business. So when you ask about what are the plans, remember I highlighted briefly to say, when we bid for these meetings, we bid way in advance. So for us, during lockdown, it was not really lockdown. We've been working from day one, because we're continuing lobbying the associations, both at national, regional, and international level. So what we have actually said, I'm going to say this because it doesn't hurt. What we've said when we were even speaking with our MEC was to say, let's start with the national associations, because now that the domestic travel is open, we can actually boom with our meetings, the national meetings. How we're planning to do this is to say hybrid meetings are the way to go. We are not going to only focus in one destination to say, okay, only hosting in Durban, because we have like numbers that are actually an issue as well. So if you're hosting about 50 people in one venue and you are able to spread in other venues, so be it, so that you can be able to assist with the economic benefits as well in those different areas. So what we're working on right now, I'm not going to mention the meetings that are going to come up soon that we work on, so that we can be able, we can have a meeting at Zimbali and have another meeting at the Durban ICC and have another meeting at the Olive Convention Center and have another one in Richards Bay, so that we are able to actually minimize the risk, because it is important. We don't want also beyond this not to be safety conscious. So we are actually working within the prescript of the safety precautions which government has put in place. But we are saying, let us work to make sure that everyone benefits after this pandemic. It's been difficult for everyone. The event sector is the most hit hard, but we are saying we will rise beyond this. There is nothing that is permanent. Beyond this, we're going to work with everyone within the sector. And I'm saying maybe we're learning something as well out of this, because we always work in silos. Now is the time where we really need to work with everyone and make sure that we partner with everyone. Each municipality, each and every venue, the PCOs around the province, we need to make sure that we partner with everyone so that everyone get a slice in this big cake.
Wow, that's amazing. Collaboration is key. Collaboration is key. There's also a term when I was studying something, it's called co-opetition. So collaboration is key, because honestly, we do need to get the industry back on track so that we can keep going again. I recall at some point that there was talk, at least at national level, of a relief fund from the Department of Tourism. Is there anything similar at a provincial level?
Well, how it works, Zodwa, remember what is happening at national, we have everyone at different provinces applying for the same fund. So there is no separate fund from the National Department of Tourism Fund. But what we are saying, and I'm saying this without any, I don't want you to actually come back and ask me that I said this on this talk, but
not me.
What we're trying to do as the Convention Bureau, I'm going to focus only on the business event side. What we're trying to do is to say, we have PCOs, we have exhibition providers, we have DMCs, we've got guys who does sound and this and that. So we're saying, let us make sure that everyone else, when we host these meetings, remember I said we're starting with national and regional meetings, and then we'll look to the international meetings because we're continuing actually attracting those meetings. And we will be able to say, guys, partner, if you are a PCO, come as a collective. Go and get a sound system guy who's going to be able to make sure that the hybrid meeting doesn't have glitches. Remember, we're dealing with a very sensitive industry as well. So we need to make sure that we're not compromising the quality, but we are able to make sure that everyone else benefits. So this issue of collaboration that you're talking about, we're going to start actually saying, guys, let us make sure that if you are from Richards Bay, make sure that when we host these meetings in Richards Bay, you have a pool of service providers that are from Richards Bay that you're going to be able to use when we host these meetings and in areas and so forth. So that's what we're trying to do so that we are able to make sure that we get to the rhythm of getting back to where we are before.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Let me go to our Facebook page again and see if we've got any questions for you. Sis Khabo is asking, do you think virtual meetings may replace physical meetings going forward? I hope not.
Definitely no.
I have a vested interest.
No, but you've seen the challenges. Let me just give you one classic example where we had this thing of saying, you know what, virtual meetings will never replace the face-to-face meetings. And we even said the hashtag why we miss face-to-face because of that. In one of the big UN meetings, when we were attending that meeting, a virtual meeting, something has happened and the system crashed and we couldn't attend the meeting. So for me, virtual meetings are important right now because of the situation that we find ourselves into. And also it's teaching us that in the near future, we need to be able to adapt when situations calls for these virtual meetings. We need to be ready to be able to have those virtual meetings. But we miss people, you know, we in the industry that we are in, we are about this human touch. So it's never replaced by virtual, you know, I miss the hugs, I miss, you know, the kiss, you know, get back to normal.
I miss everything. I even invited you to have a virtual coffee.
You know?
But I'm glad that now we can find time to actually meet physically. Sonto, what are the three things that you would say are key for anyone who wants to be a successful professional?
Humbleness. I think one of the things that actually think is my number one is humbleness. Also, the second thing I will say, you must be able to learn from people who actually know better. There's nothing wrong to actually learn from other people. For me, I think that is what is key, because there are people who are ahead of you and there are people who can be able to give you more advice so that you can be able to grow as well. Also, the third thing for me is to know God and be prayerful always. So for me, those are the things that I think will make a person, which have made me.
Wow. I feel like saying, preach, sister. What advice would you give a 20-something Sonto who's just graduated from a UniZul where you started? Sonto besakade salibele ukuhlala isichu. So what advice would you give to a 20-something Sonto about life and business, as it were?
I-product yasesitshule na ke Zoto ungayithathi kancane.
Same here.
But you know what I can say to a 20-something person is to say never stop learning. You know, when you learn, you actually open your horizons. So for me, never stop learning, and also make sure that each and every opportunity that you are given, you grab it by both hands and you run with it.
Yes.
Seize the opportunity and run with it. So for me, you don't actually need to be pushed to do something. It should come from within, because everything that comes from within will manifest to be a greater thing, whether you like it or not. Passion will open doors for you, because you will go with the passion and knock in the door and say, I want to do this, and definitely it will happen. So for me, never stop learning. It actually is one thing that I will actually say.
Yeah, never stop learning, seize the opportunity, and of course, to push your passion. You know, some people also, they would ask me, you start doing events 20 years later. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm passionate about. Thank God I've started this new project now, because it's also exciting. So lockdown was not that bad after all. Sonto, thank you so much for spending your precious time with us. I really, really appreciate you coming to chat with me this afternoon on Thriving in Abundance. So, of course, on Tuesdays, we focus on women. This is why we call it Woman Thrive. What's your parting shot, my sister? Anything that you would like to just say to anyone who could be watching us now live on Facebook, or that will be watching us later on our YouTube channel?
You see, Zotwa, the problem is you're asking me about the parting shot, and already you have Woman Thrive. So parting shot is each and every woman out there, they must strive. That's all I want to say.
All right.
They must just strive.
All right, ladies, you've heard it from Sonto herself. We all have an ability to thrive, hence our Tuesday segment. It's called Women Thrive. And of course, we will be seeing you again on Thursday on our Thriving in Abundance talk show. That's our main show where we're talking spiritual stuff. Hey, we're talking heavy stuff this coming Thursday. Let's talk about prophetic ministry. Hey, some are prophesying, some are prophesying. So we will hear from our guests on Thursday, which I'm also looking forward to that. And I would invite you to join us on Thursday on our Thriving in Abundance talk show Facebook page at 12 o'clock. Do not miss it. Do not miss it. And of course, my name is Zoto Simang Ekansi Bande, signing off this afternoon. Thank you, Sis Sonto. Thank you, Sis Busi Shabalala, who is our producer for the show. And of course, the whole team at Econ or Thrive Global. We love you, Sis Sonto. Wishing you everything of the best in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.